My name is Daniel, and I am 32 years old. I used to believe that my life was simple and complete. I had a stable job, a quiet home, and a loving wife. From the outside, everything looked perfect. People often told me I was lucky, and I believed them. I thought I understood my life, my marriage, and the woman I loved. But now, when I look back, I realize something important. I did not know the full truth. My wife's name was Emma. She was kind, gentle, and always calm. She had a soft voice that made people feel comfortable and a warm smile that could change a bad day into a good one. When we first met, I felt something special. She was different from anyone I had known before. She listened carefully, spoke honestly, and made me feel understood. At first, our life together felt like a dream. We got married after 2 years of knowing each other. It was not a big wedding, just close family and a few friends. But it was perfect for us. We didn't need anything more. We promised to support each other, to be honest, and to face life together. For a long time, we kept those promises. Our daily life was simple but peaceful. We woke up together, had breakfast, and talked about small things. Sometimes we laughed about nothing, and sometimes we sat in silence, enjoying the quiet. In the evenings, we watched movies or went for walks. It was not exciting, but it felt safe, and I liked that. But slowly, something began to change. At first, it was small things. Emma became quieter than usual. She smiled less, and sometimes she looked lost in her thoughts. When I asked if she was okay, she would always say, "I'm fine." Her voice was calm, but something felt different. I noticed it, but I didn't think too much about it. Life continued. Work became busier. Days passed quickly. I told myself she was just tired or stressed. Everyone has difficult moments, I thought. There was no reason to worry. But then the distance between us started to grow. Emma stopped sharing her thoughts with me. She spent more time alone, often sitting by the window and staring outside. Sometimes I would find her holding her phone, reading something, then quickly putting it away when I entered the room. It felt strange. The woman who once told me everything was now hiding something. Still, I said nothing. Maybe I was afraid of the answer. One evening, I came home later than usual. The house was quiet. I called her name, but there was no answer. I walked into the living room and saw her sitting on the couch. The lights were off and the room was dark except for a small lamp. She looked at me, but her eyes were different. There was sadness in them. "Emma," I said softly, "what's wrong?" For a moment, she didn't respond. Then she forced a small smile. "Nothing," she said. "Just tired." I nodded, but I knew that was not the truth. Still, I didn't push her. That night, I lay awake for a long time. Something inside me felt uneasy. It was like a quiet voice telling me that something was not right, but I ignored it. I wanted to believe everything was okay. Days turned into weeks. The silence between us grew heavier. We still lived in the same house, slept in the same bed, but it felt like we were slowly becoming strangers. The warmth we once shared was fading, replaced by something cold and distant. And yet I did nothing. I told myself it would pass. I told myself love was still there. But deep inside, I felt the truth getting closer. Then one day, everything changed. It was a quiet afternoon. I came home early from work because I wasn't feeling well. The house was silent again, but this time it felt different. I called her name. No answer. I walked into the bedroom and saw something unusual. On the table, there was a small envelope. My name was written on it. My heart began to beat faster. I stepped closer and picked it up. The paper felt light in my hands, but something about it felt heavy. I didn't know why, but I suddenly felt afraid. Afraid of what I might find inside. For a moment, I just stood there, holding the envelope, staring at my name. A strange feeling filled my chest. It was the feeling that something important, something life-changing was about to happen. And for the first time, I realized something clearly. Whatever was inside that envelope would change everything I believed about my life. I stood there for a long moment, holding the envelope in my hands. The room was quiet, but my thoughts were loud. My heart was beating faster, and I could feel a strange fear growing inside me. At first, I told myself not to open it. Maybe it was nothing serious. Maybe it was just a simple message. But deep inside, I knew it was not. Emma never left notes like this, especially not with my name written so carefully on the front. I sat down slowly on the edge of the bed. The envelope felt light, but my hands felt heavy. I turned it over, looking for some clue, but there was nothing else. Just my name and silence. At first, everything around me felt normal. The same room, the same furniture, the same quiet afternoon. But inside me, something had already changed. It was like I was standing at the edge of something unknown. I took a deep breath. Then, slowly, I opened the envelope. The sound of the paper tearing felt too loud in the quiet room. For a moment, I stopped listening, almost expecting Emma to walk in and stop me. But nothing happened. She wasn't there. Inside, there was a single letter. I unfolded it carefully, my fingers slightly shaking. The handwriting was hers. I recognized it immediately. I began to read. "Daniel, I don't know how to say this, so I will write it instead." My chest tightened. Those words did not feel normal. They felt like the beginning of something I was not ready to hear. "I'm sorry for not telling you sooner." I stopped for a second. Not telling me what. A cold feeling moved through my body. I continued reading slowly. "There is something I have been hiding from you for a long time." My mind started to race. I tried to think of what it could be, but nothing felt right. My thoughts were full of questions, but no answers. "I was afraid of losing you," the letter said, "and I didn't know how to tell you the truth." The truth? That word stayed in my mind. What truth? I felt my heart beating louder. Then I read the next line. "Before I met you, I had a life I never told you about." I frowned slightly. A life? Everyone has a past, I thought. Maybe it was something small. Maybe it didn't matter. But something inside me told me it did matter. I kept reading. "There is someone important." My hands froze. Someone. I read the sentence again, slower this time. "There is someone I could not forget." A deep silence filled the room. In that moment, everything felt different. The air felt heavier. The light in the room felt colder. My mind started to build questions faster than I could control. Who was she talking about? Why did she never mention this before? And why now? I continued reading, even though part of me didn't want to. "I thought I could leave the past behind," she wrote. "I thought I could start a new life with you." And for a while I did. Those words hurt more than I expected. For a while, did that mean something had changed? I tried to forget. The letter continued. I tried to be the person you believed I was. I felt a sharp pain in my chest. The person I believed she was? Was she not that person? My hands began to shake more now. I didn't want to think the worst, but my mind was already moving in that direction. Then I read the next line. But the truth is, I never fully let go. I closed my eyes for a moment. The words felt heavy. Not fully let go. That meant something was still there. Something from her past that was still part of her present. I opened my eyes and forced myself to continue. I didn't tell you because I was afraid. Afraid that you would see me differently. Afraid that you would leave. My chest felt tight. I had always believed our relationship was built on honesty. But now I realized something painful. There had been a secret between us from the beginning. A secret I never knew. The silence in the room felt louder now. I could hear my own breathing. Slow, heavy, uncertain. I kept reading. I know this is unfair to you. You deserved the truth from the start. Tears started to form in my eyes, but I didn't notice at first. I was too focused on the words, too focused on what was coming next, because I knew the most important part was still ahead. Something inside me told me that whatever I read next would change everything. I took a deep breath, and I continued. But in that moment, one thing became clear. The life I thought I had, the love I believed in, was no longer as simple as I once thought. And the truth was only just beginning to appear. My hands were shaking as I continued reading the letter. I could feel my heart beating harder with every word. A part of me wanted to stop, to close the letter and forget everything. But I couldn't. I needed to know the truth, no matter how painful it was. I took a deep breath and looked at the next lines. There is something more you need to know. My chest felt tight. I was not ready, but I kept reading. A few months ago, I met him again. My mind went completely still. Met him again. Those words echoed inside my head. It wasn't just someone from her past. It was someone from her present. A deep feeling of fear and pain filled my chest. I read the line again, hoping I misunderstood, but I didn't. It was clear she had met him again. I felt something break inside me. My thoughts became loud and confused. When did this happen? Why didn't she tell me? What did it mean? I kept reading. Even though my eyes were starting to blur, it was unexpected, she wrote. I didn't plan it. But when I saw him, everything I tried to forget came back. My breathing became heavier. Everything came back. I could feel the weight of those words. It meant the feelings were still there. After all this time, they were still there. I tried to ignore it, she continued. I told myself it didn't matter, that my life was with you, that you were the one I chose. That part hurt the most. The one I chose. It sounded like a decision, not a feeling, like something she had to remind herself of. Tears slowly rolled down my face now. I didn't try to stop them. I just kept reading. But the truth is, I became confused. Confused. That word felt small, but it carried so much pain. I started thinking about the past again. I started questioning everything. I closed my eyes for a moment, questioning everything. Did that include me? Did that include our life together? I opened my eyes again and continued. I didn't want to hurt you. I never wanted to hurt you. But I also couldn't ignore what I was feeling anymore. My hands tightened around the letter. There it was. The truth I was afraid of. She had feelings for someone else, not in the past. Now, in the present. I tried to stay. She wrote, I tried to be strong, but every day it became harder to pretend. Pretend. That word cut deeply. Was our life just a pretense to her? Was our love not real? My heart felt heavy, like it was carrying something too big. Then I reached the part that changed everything. I have already made a decision. I stopped breathing for a moment. A decision? What decision? I forced myself to read the next line. By the time you read this, I will be gone. The room became silent, too silent. I stared at the words, unable to move. Gone. She was gone. Not just emotionally, but physically. She left. I felt my body go cold. I looked around the room as if I could still find her somewhere, but she wasn't there. The house was empty, just like the feeling inside me. I went back to the letter, my hands shaking more than before. I'm sorry, she wrote. I know this will hurt you. I know I should have told you sooner, but I was afraid. Afraid? That word again. I didn't want to break the life we had, but I realized something too late. Too late? I swallowed slowly. What did you realize? I whispered, even though I knew she couldn't hear me. Then I read the final lines. I realized that hiding the truth doesn't protect love. It only destroys it slowly. My chest tightened again. She was right. But it didn't make the pain easier. I hope one day you will understand, she wrote, and maybe forgive me. Forgive, that word felt impossible in that moment. I lowered the letter slowly. My hands were still shaking. My mind was empty, but my heart was full of pain. Everything I believed in, everything I trusted was gone. Not slowly, not gently, but all at once. I sat there for a long time, staring at nothing. The silence in the room felt endless. The woman I loved, the life I built, the future I imagined, all of it had disappeared. And the hardest part was not just that she left. It was that she told me the truth. Too late. I don't remember how long I sat there. The letter was still in my hands, but my mind felt empty. It was like time had stopped, and I was left alone inside a moment that would not move forward. The silence in the room felt heavier than ever before. At first, I felt nothing. No anger, no tears, just a deep, quiet emptiness. Then slowly, the emotions began to return. I stood up and walked around the house. Every corner reminded me of her. The couch where we used to sit together, the kitchen where we shared simple meals, the small things that once felt normal now felt painful. Everything was still there, except her. I went back to the bedroom and looked at the empty space where she used to keep her things. It was clear now. She had planned this. She had taken what she needed and left without saying goodbye. And I was left behind with only her words. At first, anger finally came. I felt betrayed. I felt hurt. I asked myself the same questions again and again. Why didn't she tell me sooner? Why didn't she give us a chance to fix things? Why did she leave like this? But no matter how many times I asked, there were no answers. Only silence. Days passed, but the pain did not leave quickly. It stayed with me, following me through every moment. Work felt empty. Conversations felt meaningless. Even simple things like eating or sleeping became difficult. I was not just missing her. I was missing the life I thought we had. But slowly, something began to change. One evening, I picked up the letter again and read it from the beginning. This time, I didn't read it with anger. I read it with a different feeling. I tried to understand. Her words were not cruel. They were honest. Painful, but honest. She didn't leave because she wanted to hurt me. She left because she was lost. She had been hiding her feelings for a long time. She tried to stay. She tried to protect what we had. But in the end, the truth became too strong to ignore. And that truth broke everything. As I sat there, I realized something important. Our relationship did not end the day she left. It ended slowly over time, in the silence, in the things we didn't say, in the truth she was too afraid to share. And maybe I was also part of that silence. Maybe I saw the signs but chose to ignore them. Maybe I believed everything was fine because it was easier than facing the truth. That thought was painful, but it was real. I took a deep breath and looked around the room again. This time it felt different. Not empty, just quiet. And in that quiet, I felt something new. Acceptance. Not complete, not perfect, but a beginning. I understood now that love is not just about staying together. It is about honesty. It is about sharing even the difficult truths, even when they hurt. Because when the truth is hidden, love slowly disappears. Emma came into my life and gave me many good memories. Those moments were real. The laughter, the warmth, the connection. It was all real. But so was the ending. And I had to accept both. Days later, I made a decision. I would not let this pain define me. I would learn from it. I would become stronger. Not by forgetting what happened, but by understanding it. I started focusing on myself again. I returned to my daily routine, slowly rebuilding my life. It was not easy, but each day felt a little lighter than the last. The letter stayed with me, not as a symbol of betrayal, but as a reminder that truth matters, that silence can destroy even the strongest love, and that sometimes people leave not because they don't care, but because they don't know how to stay. Now, when I think about Emma, I don't feel only pain. I feel understanding. She told me the truth, but she told me too late. And that is the lesson I carry with me. Do not wait too long to be honest. Do not hide your feelings out of fear, because one day it might be too late to fix what is broken. If you love someone, speak the truth, even if it is difficult, even if it hurts, because honesty may bring pain, but silence brings loss. Thank you for listening to this story. If you enjoyed this emotional English story and want to improve your listening, reading, and speaking skills, don't forget to subscribe to Learn English by Stories. On Learn English by Stories, you will find many powerful and easy-to-understand stories that help you learn English naturally. Keep listening, keep learning, and I will see you in the next story.